Recently, a friend of mine asked me if I could do a short video that would show the difference between the power cells in the black box and that of a conventional battery or even capacitors, or even supercapacitors for that matter. But this already has supercapacitor layers in it, so no big deal, they're already in there. This is the one that I showed in the intro video for the black box, which is going to be representative of this demonstration for the cells that are already inside the black box. So first of all, what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you, these are 10 volt electrolytic caps, 2200 microfarad. I've used them before, but I'm just going to show that I've pre-charged them, and they are, this one is 5.11 volts. The other one should be around 5 volts too, so we'll just forego that for the moment. And I'll just show you that there is some voltage in the battery. If I can get that on there. Oops, my hand's going to be in the way. Okay, so it's 0.98, so it's just a little less than a volt. It's a rechargeable battery too. So now we'll just test the cell here. Oops, this way. And just to make sure it's got, okay, so it's 2.18 volts on the cell. Okay, now here's the part that that makes this so much different from these, or a common supercap by itself. These are generator cells, obviously. You can see that by, you know, this generating power. These are just storage, and supercaps are just storage too. And I wouldn't suggest you doing this, but I'm going to turn the meter to microamps, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it's going to cause a dead short when I put the meter probes across the caps and the battery. But what you'll get to see is you'll get to see that current through the microamp scale just drop really fast as the power drains out of these. So first I'll just do this. So watch where it is when it starts. Okay, 2000 and something. It's already 1008. You can see it going down really fast. Okay, so it just continues to go and goes down to 0. Alright, so I'll spare you that extra little time. We'll do it on this one too. Same thing, 2300 or so microamps, and it just puts a dead short on it through the meter, and it just comes down. And okay, so I'll stop there. But even if you put it back on there, it's not going to be back up to, you know, see, it's still it's still low. So we did drain it. Same thing with the battery. Same thing with the battery. So let's put this on here. Sorry, clumsy-handed. Okay, so now this is going to be slower because there's a lot more density in a battery, but you can see that it's a dead short and it's draining the battery. And you could do the same thing with this. You could take it right down to 0 if you want, but it might damage the battery, and it's not good for the meter. But with this low power stuff, you know, it's not going to hurt anything. Okay, now the difference is between this, the technology in this, and these, or even a supercap, like I said, is watch what this one does. Now, let me get it just right. Watch the meter. Oops. Okay, so it's 400 and something. Now it's up to 600. You see the difference? Whoops. Sorry, I got off of it. 800 microamps. Now in this case, instead of it draining, it's telling the cell, go ahead and do work and start increasing. And that's what you're seeing on the meter. When have you ever seen that before? When have you seen to put a dead short on something and watch the power increase? Isn't that amazing? So that is the big difference between the cells in here and something like a battery or capacitors. Now this is going to be my favorite part of the video. As I've said before, this is the type of cell structure that's inside the black box, and you can see that actually the cell itself is just in the center of this. This is just an extra piece hanging out, but you can see how thick it is. It's pretty thick. Okay, so right after I did the intro on the black box, I was thinking, well, you know, I really would like to do a thin film, because with the cells being that thick, there's only so much space inside here. Of course, I've got the batteries like I showed you before. Well, okay, here they are on this side. Batteries are in there, and the cells are inside here, power cells. So they charge up the batteries, you wear them down, it recharges those back up. But you know, you can only fit so many cells when they're thick like that in here. So what if I had like a thin film technology? Could I do a thin film? The trick with that is I've got semiconductor crystals in those cells, so rigidity is fine, but when you do something thin film, it needs to be flexible, or at least flexible. So I tried some different things the first day right after I did this video, and just failed miserably. They just didn't work. And the second day I made some cells and they just started eating themselves up. It was just crazy. It just wasn't working. But by the end of the second day, I realized that I just needed to adjust the chemistry and the sensitivity of the dielectric and the electrolyte in the cell. So I did that, and by the third day I nailed it. And here's the first one here. This is the first one. This is 1 inch square, extremely thin. You can see here, you can see the graphite. This is 2/1000ths of an inch thick, and the only reason why it's so thick is because of the laminate that the graphite was deposited onto. That's what makes it 2/1000ths of an inch thick. Otherwise it would be really thin. Now, it's not graphene. Those guys that say that they're working with graphene, unless you can see through it like glass, it's not graphene. Graphene is 1 atom thick. This is not graphene. Obviously, you can see that it's solid, but it's super conductive and it's extremely thin. The whole cell is very thin. If you I have it laminated here just to hold it together, but if you took the laminate off, this whole cell would be about the thickness of maybe 1 or 2 pieces of paper. It is super thin, super thin, but it's the same technology as the cells inside the black box. And check that out, it's flexible, it's semiconductive, dielectric, and the electrolyte, the whole thing, you know, the whole key is inside there, and it is a flexible semiconductor. It's just it's just really something unique, something different, and I know something that you have never seen before. Okay, first thing we'll do is we will check the voltage on this and see what it's producing. 2.11 volts. That's a lot of voltage for something that is micro thin. 1 square inch. 1 square inch. So that's all we're talking about. Now I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna do the microamps on this one too, and just show you that it's more than, you know, 10 or 20 or 50 microamps. So 800 and 1100. Okay, so you saw it going up 1128. So so this little sucker is a mega producer. Now imagine, here's the best part, imagine if the black box was full of these. Remember how thick the other is? Look, super thick, paper thin. I could get, instead of let's say if this had 10 cells in it, this could probably put 1,000 cells in there, which would literally make one black box the power of maybe 10 of them, like I've got right here, even though this is good. You see my point? This is going to open some new doors. This is going to absolutely open some new doors, and I didn't want to really present it like this, but I thought I'd throw it into this video and give you a little precursor of what there is to come, because I think we're going to see a lot of this. I think we're going to see this in everything. This cell is already 2 days old, and it just looks nasty on the back here because I got crazy with the laminate. But look, it's not like the first one. In a few hours it had just tore itself apart because the electrolyte and everything was just too strong. So I've had to modify this, and it's just absolutely balanced and perfect for this micro thin cell. Look at that. Can you imagine the applications of this sucker? Now if you want more current, you simply add area. So instead of 1 square inch, let's say you had 10 inches by 10 inches, that's 100 square inches. So if the voltage stayed the same at 2 volts or a little over 2 volts, or even if it was less than that, who cares? The current is going to be, maybe times 100 theoretically. Probably not quite as much as that, but you know it's going to be a lot greater than this because it's all about the area for the current. So imagine a cereal box size of these cells here. There would probably be 1,000 or 2,000 cells or something inside. Imagine the power it would be, or imagine the black box just full of them. Shoot, you could probably just get rid of these batteries. Then you probably wouldn't even need that, and just have this whole thing full. It would just, anyway, I just want you to think about that. But here it is. For the first time, you're seeing it. Nobody else has seen this. This is it. This is going to change everything, I think. Thanks.